Hello.
Hi guys, welcome back to DuoLinguish, episode 2 this week. We're very excited for episode 2.
It's a doozy.
A big one. We're talking about dual codes today and what it's like to build a business with your best friend. A business, a life, a relationship.
What it's like so far.
Yeah.
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 Obviously, this will be a topic we revisit.
Yeah.
Every like 6 months, every year. So we'll be like,
yeah. And it's something that you guys also get to watch. You get to see the real live embodiment of what we're moving through.
I swear to God.
It's real.
We're going to be as honest as possible. Yeah. I swear to God.
Yes, because so many reasons. We'll get into it in the episode. Before we go, though, I am one of your hosts, Desiree, 6'2", Splenic Projector, multidimensional strategist, dreamwalker, and overall playgirl.
Damn. Wow. I am Cami. Camila, whatever you want. I'm a 2/4 emotional projector. And, you know,
she's everything.
It's hard. I am you.
Yeah.
Happy to see us. Be here with us.
Yeah.
This is DuoLinguish.
Yeah. This is DuoLinguish.
Wow.
It's still new. We're still getting used to being here.
Honestly.
Live.
Honestly. The space where multidimensional business, co-creative relationships, and sacred living collide, converge, merge, become one. Mm-hmm. Today, we are going to be talking about something most people romanticize until they're deep into it.
Yeah.
Which is building a soul-led business with your best friend, with your bestie. It's not just cute, it's cosmic, and it's complex.
Complex is a beautiful word for it. There's a lot of pieces, a lot of relational layers that go into deciding to do business together. We were already doing life together. So for us, our friendship was not built on the business. And I want to make this distinction just because we have so many different types of friends, right? And so like some of our friends are in the biz world. Cami and I were friends before I was even an entrepreneur. We've grown up together really in a lot of ways. We spent most of our 20s together. And so we've done a lot of transmuting of trauma.
We turned 25 together.
We turned 25 together. Yeah, we're about to turn 33 together.
Yay!
It's been wild leading up to this 33rd birthday.
Honestly.
Whoa. But all that being said, I just want to address that it's allowed to be complex. I think that we think when things are easy, they're just supposed to stay easy.
Yes.
And something Cami and I have been talking about a lot over the last 72 hours are these comfort ceilings that we can hit. And when we're both people who desire to evolve in our personal journeys, it's an expansion of learning how to hold these spaces and frequencies that we talk about, right? Because I want to honor her individual journey while also co-creating with her. And so how do we marry the balance of like honoring each other and honoring ourselves?
Right.
As we alchemize trauma and build wealth and now build a business together. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
It'll continue to be.
Yeah. To keep it flowing as easily as we normally do, it's definitely it's taken hard moments, we'll say difficult moments, moments that are very scary to the nervous systems. While it's very interesting because obviously the work never stops. The privilege of evolution never stops. And so if we, we had built and our friendship was as expansive as it could have been, And then deciding to take this, number one, deciding to be around each other all the time, which is something that
To
we
live
had,
together.
yes, to live together, which
Yeah.
is something that we, you know, her and I fantasized about years ago when we first met. It's something that life has sort of been working towards some way, but that alone, without the business, is life altering.
Without the business and without the way that I moved in, right? Like
Mhm.
I moved in, Cami really became like healer during that time. I really was stepping into like a sacred temple space. And I knew this, but I didn't really know this. Like I didn't know how much of healing, of deeper alchemy, deeper self alchemy. And I don't think either of us really knew actually how much we were committing to
Mhm.
when we committed to that, to just her allowing me to come in my rawness. For those of you who don't know, who haven't been following me on Instagram or whatever, I broke up with my ex on the A8 portal last year, my ex of 10 years, and Cami was my first stop. It was a no-brainer. I was like, I gotta go home. Half of my home is here, the other half is here.
Home have. So, last week, we talked a lot about how our friendship began. Well, we attempted to talk a lot about how our friendship began. So we won't go super deep into it, but we'll start from us meeting at work, which that is interesting. I was looking for a job and you know, 24 something years old. Gosh, I think my divorce still hadn't gone through all the way. Like, golly. So, you know, I'm looking for a job. You know, so I had done the diligences of becoming a dental assistant and such, but at this point I had already gotten into this car accident, so I couldn't actually assist anymore. So I'd moved up front, and this little clinic hired me, and Desiree was basically the boss. She didn't get to, like, she didn't have the privilege of pocketing the money and being the one to distribute it to the fellow people, but apart from that, she was the boss. So I was hired as her help.
Mm-hmm. I got to pick basically. The dentist was like, I was the office manager. He was a new dentist.
Mm-hmm.
32.
32.
Yeah. By the way,
Our age.
dentists come out of school and become millionaires. So like working with millionaires, check.
God.
We know, we understand the inner workings of multimillionaires and what happens when we gather so much wealth and momentum so quickly and we aren't prepared for
Oh my gosh.
holding and expanding through it. So
At least through the personality of some dentists.
of some dentists, right?
For this stage.
Right. So I was the office manager. He was a young dentist. He hadn't even been in business for a year yet.
Yeah.
So I was the boss because he trusted me because I had a lot more field experience than he did.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically whatever I wanted, I got.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of until the end. But he let me choose who we were going to hire because I was going to be working so closely with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a couple interviews. I don't know if I've actually ever told you this, but we had a couple interviews and I was like, no, I cannot work with that person. Today, I'd rather be by myself and overworked than with that person. And then hearing you complain about how much you have to pay them. So,
Mm-hmm.
so then Cami came and I was like, that's the one.
And here I've been the
That's the
whole
one.
time.
I didn't know I was saying that's the one forever.
Man.
Or that's the one again.
Again.
For
sure. Things with us got very it's like we definitely knew that this was different after a certain point. There's like, yes, the ability to just flow at work, which is of course great in America. But for me, for sure, it's the desire to want to see you more. That was new.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't want to see my friends, but I don't. The only other The only other friend that really resonated to this degree was the friend that I had when I was 12 years old, fresh into Dominican Republic. Stephanie. She knows. Okay.
We love Stephanie.
We love her.
Stephanie's also my friend.
Exactly.
Also, yeah, so competition doesn't exist in this friendship.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes. It's also a complex thing because it doesn't mean that competition doesn't exist.
It doesn't mean we don't feel it. I'm not saying we don't go through the emotional portal of having to transmute it.
Because we're here.
Saying we don't allow it to leak into the relationship.
Yes, it shouldn't. Especially when it comes to other friendships, and especially when it comes to these very clear soul. This is a soulmate situation. So I think that soulmates recognize soulmates. And no soulmate is going to compete with another soulmate. This is very strange.
Even like your romantic relationship and your best friend, right? We all know that fucking tension. We all hate that shit, man. We're like, can you two just get it together?
Yes.
So that I can be around both of you in peace.
Please. Please.
But soulmates understand there's no need for that competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it doesn't mean we don't go through the human processes of transmuting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It just means we understand why we're doing the alchemy, right? And we know that the devotion to what's going to happen when we do transmute it is bigger and is more important to us than whatever personal emotions we have to sift through to get there.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to sit with my nervous system as long as I need to, for as much as I need to, by myself as long as I need to, to hear myself so I can tell her things and share things with her that help her support me and vice versa. But if we allow the competition to leak in, it really damages, I feel, that channel of communication specifically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot talk about co-creation when someone is trying to outcreate you.
Yeah.
Every time.
Or you're trying to outcreate somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's and I think that is the difference between chemistry and co-creation.
Yes.
Like
absolutely. Chemistry is biological. Chemistry is, all right, y'all, top lesson. Chemistry is sexual. Okay. Chemistry is my body reacts to your body a certain way. There's a certain innate biological reaction. I can't even say compatibility because compatibility is different from chemistry. Chemistry is very physiological. It's very unconscious.
Yeah.
Co-creation is a choice. It's a daily choice, multiple times a day choice.
Oh my God.
Sometimes multiple times in a minute.
This is the choice that they talk about in all those romantic partnership books where they're like, love is a choice that you take every day. It's true. This is the choice. What you didn't know is that that's the choice you're supposed to make with everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just your romantic partner that you choose to love every day. It's the people that you say you love like that.
And this is where our spell work, our voice, using our words gets tricky because we love co-creation. Ooh, the world loves co-creation right now. Everybody wants to talk about co-creation. Everybody wants to be in co-creation. Everybody thinks they're co-creating. And you are to a certain extent. But the co-creation that everybody is desiring and not even desiring, it's a yearning, which is a whole other episode of itself. But there's this deep ache for co-creation, and it's going to ask you to really release ego.
Yeah.
And the unconscious ego. Like,
honestly,
like the part of you that you think is your ego. That's your ego.
That's your ego.
Telling you it's not your ego.
That'll always be your ego for the most part. Any part of you trying to defend the ego, whether defending the ego and accepting the ego are two different things.
Yes.
Accepting, acknowledging is different.
Yeah.
Independently.
And when we say ego,
feels...
we're talking about like the most conscious part of you, right? So like the part of you that leads your life, the part of you that you think is very in charge and very in check. This is the ego. It's the programmed part of us because it's the part of us who's been out here the most. So when we say ego, we're not talking about like you have a big ego and you need to check it. Everybody has an ego. There's room for our egos in this relationship.
Yeah.
But it's knowing who is the ego, who's talking right now, right?
Yes, because we don't kill egos here.
No.
We integrate. We do acceptance here. If you want to vibrate at the frequency of this freedom and continuous expansiveness, we must embrace acceptance at every moment and at any opportunity. And that takes intention. And like you were saying, we are always in co-creation. You don't have a choice. You are co-creating. Already. That's why you know people doing being alive, you co-create. We are co-creating this world together. What we're not all doing is co-creating intentionally. We're not all intentional. And that's it. So most of our talks will always be to lead people back to intentionality. And this, which takes discernment, which is another thing we talked about, intentionality, discernment. And as projectors, we go deep, we live in the deep.
Yeah. Both of us cut through the bullshit, right? We're like, I don't want to deal with like surface shit. Let's just get to like, I don't know, that I have this pain in my chest and I feel like I can't tell you something and I don't like it. So what are we gonna, let's talk about it.
Exactly.
I think it's like when the two of us come together, it's not just a business. It's not just an event. It's not just a podcast. It's a frequency. And having that frequency, but having it from the friendship first and then adding the business has been like, I don't know that we would still even be here today. And we've only been in business together for 6 months, but I don't know if we would have stuck through the first 6 months without the foundations of friendship that we had.
No.
And the frequency that we've created for safety.
No. Yeah. Over here, business. Okay? You over here, you need to plan together. You need to come up with ideas together. You need to deal with money together. You need to... Money?
Y'all, first of all, listen, nobody likes to talk about money. We don't even want to talk about money with our partners, with our romantic partners, okay?
The divorce rate, come on. For monetary reasons, come on, you guys. Is that not going to translate to your friendships?
Ego integration?
Oh, God. Just the conversation of like, how are we going to split things? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How are we going to split it? Is it mine? Is it yours? Is it ours?
Which for us, this was also pretty easy because we have done a lot of work on our own egos, and and
we've done a lot of independent money work as well.
We have, and we've also just always talked about just everything, just trying to keep everything as even as possible because it's not. Everything is this energetic exchange, so it's not necessarily based on, we do not work solely based on these 3D tangible results or what is happening in the 3D. So our ideas on dividing money have nothing to do with how much or how little one or the other is or isn't doing apparently in the 3D realm. It's not all about these eyes.
This is the magic of duality too. This has been a big deprogramming, really. For me, I know. I'm sure for Cami, I just have I have the coaching industry to deprogram from that she doesn't. That's kind of the advantage she has right now. So she's also been very helpful for me in like detaching from these ways of doing things.
I have no fear.
Yeah, she has no fear. She has no conditioning around you have to say it this way and you have to hook them and you use cell psychology, right? So like I'm really deconditioning from these things right now. This is also the beauty of like our human design as well, right? This is how we like balance our differences and our similarities. Because as a 6'2", I am the more extroverted one. And my mic. Nice.
Initially extroverted. Yeah.
Yes. In the world, the way you perceive us, the way you guys perceive us, I am the extroverted one. Des is the one that's been naked online. Des is just wild with it, right? She's just always has something sassy to say. And in general, I will say I do handle a lot of 3D things. I handle the scheduling of calls and making sure that our links are in order for payment and shit. Sure. But that doesn't mean that I'm the only one doing the work. And I definitely don't. There's never been a point in our time of business together where payment has come through and I felt like I did more work than she did. Whether or not you saw how much work she did. Because where Cami shines is really in the intimate settings. And so some of you will get to meet certain parts of her, and some of you will just have to wait until you get in here. And I won't say that there's parts of me you haven't met either, but again, in the 3D, on the outside, I seem to be the more extroverted one. Once you're in our spaces, it's completely opposite. Actually, it's fucking hilarious because she has the 4, so she becomes the more dominant one, and I have the 2, so I become a lot more like, it's so funny, actually. You guys would be like, what? Are these the same people?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
are. But that's the beauty of our duality. And we, as we've lived life together, we have both also committed to like our own personal journey of understanding our human design. So it's been really unique to have somebody who is just as committed to that and who understands like what it looks like for us to wait for an invitation and
this is important.
Yeah, who understands taking rest. For projectors, we just need so much more rest than a lot of y'all out there. Generators, manifestors, manifesting generators.
That
y'all are just
that meme where it's like completes one thing on the list. There's just like just chilling.
We're like, we've done so much today.
It took me over 24 hours to try to apply to one fucking job.
I need rest now.
This is a lot.
It is a lot.
Technical issues stress me out.
That's not our forte.
Stress me.
It's not our forte.
They remind me of the fallibility of man.
We have some engineer masculine co-creators in our life right now, and literally as we were setting up for the podcast, we were like, thank God.
Thank God.
That's what we needed this whole time. We had the vision. We just
That's what I need.
We're just MacGyvering our whole life, and we would have we'd have our mics probably strapped up with scarves.
Yeah, probably. I would. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Just drop them from the ceiling. Yeah, like back in the day. Let's get ready to rumble. And then fucking God damn.
But even in our duality, we still need help, you know? Like, honestly, co-creation goes beyond us even. SoulSync is a beast. I don't know, she's becoming a little beast, and I'm just like, whoa.
I think so.
It's fun to watch because there's so many more hands in the pot than even ours. You guys don't see what's happening in the scenes, but...
It reminds me of this other video where this woman is like, me being independent and me depending on nobody. And then it cuts to nobody. It's like nobody, and he's just like, and she's saying everything he does, like him who got a second job so that he could support me because I wanted to do this fucking business. And literally, and that meant that I was gonna have to quit my job. And he didn't make me get a second job. Nobody. The one that watched the kids while I could go on these retreats, or the one taking care of the kids while I'm having these mental fucking breakdowns. Nobody. The one fucking dinner. Yes, the one cooking dinner and stroking my hair because I've had my 15th fucking breakdown in death.
And I want to burn my business.
Imposter syndrome.
Day in a row.
Nobody. Thank you. Thank you, nobody. Without you, I would be nobody.
But that's really, it really, it's really is like.
It is like that. So right now, we kind of find ourselves, we are in the process right now of balancing. We are balancing strategy. We're trying to balance sensuality, structure, surrender, vision, vibe. We're trying to balance it all right now, okay?
3D, 70, 33D.
Honestly, this is where we are at right now. We are in the process of recalibration and finding the middle ground once again. Moves obviously within themselves are dumb.
Yeah.
I understand now why so many adults have just been, adultier adults have just been staying in the same place for years and years and years. And it terrifies me. But God, I understand. Like to literally, it's to uproot your whole life, especially in a place where you've been. Like I had never lived in a place for 11 years in my whole life.
Yeah.
I've never had, roots like that where, you know what? I got to a point, excuse me, where I could run into people I knew anywhere. Isn't that crazy? To me, that's crazy. I've never experienced that before. I've never run into so many just people in my whole life. I'm like, this is getting too small.
Yeah, it's
getting too small.
She was starting to get kind of manic about it.
I gotta go. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Last year, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm leaving next year.
And I was like, come to Texas.
I'm leaving. And then she came to me, and then we're like, we're leaving.
Yeah.
Had to talk about going to what? Cheese Town, Wisconsin? No.
Cheese?
Here.
Go here.
And then here. Here, then here.
Yeah. And I, again, coming back to the individual versus the our collective, the two of us. I feel like our projectorness gives us an advantage in terms of being able to slow down and make these decisions together.
It's not so scary to have to slow down for us.
Yeah.
And one of us doesn't have to convince the other one to do it.
Exactly. And I have, but being in the coaching industry, I've had a lot of co-creations and collaborations up to this point, actually. A lot of my time in the industry has been collaborative. I've wanted to work with others. I've had mentors who I worked very closely with, and almost, became their co-creators in their business. But I find that the one misalignment was this energetic ability to slow down and really listen to what's happening right now. Yes, but what is the next step?
Yeah.
And when we're doing evolution, we don't always know the next step. And so it's about being able to slow down enough and admit when we don't know where we're going.
I think the idea of the challenge of evolution and the challenge that you are given by source is to not know and still step.
To still trust.
Still take the step. Still go. You're not supposed to know. We're to the point where we're understanding it out. We already know.
We know a lot.
What you're supposed to do is try to understand until you get to this point where you understand who you are. Once you know who you are, what the fuck is there to understand? Don't you know who you are?
Now you know.
Now do stuff.
Now you just go. Now you go.
Go be who you are.
Yeah.
It's excruciating.
Yeah. And I think that for all of our non-projectors out there and non-reflectors, I just, they only make up 1% of the population. So.
Yes.
So I know that they know that, like, their world is so different, I bet. Like,
oh my God.
Man, we feel isolated. So reflectors.
Bro.
What a world they live in.
Reflectors automatically gotta be amazing people to get. I saw one post from a reflector person and I was like, they were talking to us. Yeah, they were talking to us.
They talked to
and I was like, you're talking to me? Don't nobody ever here talking to us? He talked to us.
We talk to everybody else.
Nobody talks to us. Nobody can see us but them. Because they can reflect even more.
Reflect more than us. Think of literally, we think of it as, I do think of it as 3D, right? So I think of a projector. Think of a projector. What does a projector do? It projects back to you. So we're going to mirror back to you what's happening. But who projects for a projector?
Very few. That's who. Very few.
Yeah.
And that's why we can get real big up here sometimes.
Exactly. And that's why we need reflectors.
Yeah. I need someone who can put me in my goddamn
Somebody
place.
who's just going to silently be the
See
mirror.
me too.
And is like,
please see that I'm a human as well. Can you see that I'm struggling? It's like, yeah.
Everybody thinks this is mystical shit, right? And it
Which,
is.
yeah.
It is.
Cool.
But also sometimes we feel crazy.
So what we learned, one of the common themes, with a lot of the coaches and such that Desiree was working with, was one day just fucking around with their human design, start understanding that all of them were generator or manifesting generators. That's it. That's all they were.
Mm-hmm. All of them.
So of course, they saw that she could see them. They saw that she could help them. And they were like, yes, I know that you will. I know that having you in my life benefits me. Mm-hmm. However, I want you to also just do what I say.
Mm-hmm. And I can't.
Because I feel like I've known better.
Yeah.
And however, all of them, the common theme, because they could see that she contributed to them somehow, all of them had this desire to work with her. Mm-hmm. And they made the mistake of saying that out loud, of like, I want to work with you. I want you to be part of my business. I want to open up my business to you. Now, number one,
they actually didn't.
Dear business coaches. Everybody knows how hard that is. Okay? And then number two, you see what comes with that is that then you must let somebody tell you what they see for real. Yeah. And tell you what they see from the perspective of a business partner and not just from the perspective of either the person that you're coaching or your friend or
your mentee or mentor. Like, we are now co-creators.
And literally. That's when shit gets hard.
That's when shit gets real.
And these generating people have such a hard time just slowing down. And that's why they're so tired. And
it's in you to go.
Yeah.
And again, like we said last week,
not that you should become a projector.
Yeah, no. We're not here to convince you to be like us. If you slowed down as much as I did, your life would be painful. You would be in misery. Like, literally. You would be like, oh my God. Alive?
Yeah.
Be awful for you. So I'm not here to convince you to live like us, to do business like us, to have sex and relationships like us. We're here to show you where there's room for you to expand in your own way, right? And I think that because so much of the world is generators, manifesting generators, and manifestors, it's hard to be mirrored back because we're not used to people who can mirror us back. Yes. So when somebody can really see us, when somebody can actually hold us responsible, not accountable, responsible, because that's the internal ability to take whatever I may be blaming or projecting onto this person and actually transmute it for myself so I can have a healthier relationship. This is what I mean by responsibility. Mm-hmm. When we reflect back responsibility for people, this is hard. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's ready to take responsibility for that yet. And when we call in co-creation, this manifestors, y'all specifically, and manifesting generators, be careful what you say. I love you. And that throat chakra is going to get you.
You guys, just think about it for a second.
Just think about it.
Just please slow down. Slow down enough to give it a day. Give it 24 hours sometimes.
Because you think you know what you're calling in. But I was, this was such a great 3D way to put it. I was literally reading a post. I told Camilla about it yesterday, where this woman said, okay, let's say you did it. You manifested the 100K day. So tomorrow you wake up, you have 100K in your bank. Are you ready for the 3D reality that you have to invest. You don't have to, right? Everybody's business is different, but on average, you're going to need to invest 20% of that back. So $20,000 immediately gone. Can you hold that? Can you release just as easily as you can receive? And we think we can, but the reality is...
Wait, all we've been doing is learning how to receive.
Exactly. So when you're a manifestor and you're like constantly calling shit in, and it's so easy for you guys, it's annoying.
That's why they're all coaches. That's why they're like, just do what I did.
Just do what I did.
And it'll be fine.
You'll do it.
Everybody can do what I did.
Not everybody is a manifestor.
God.
I mean, we all are manifestors. Yes, we're all creators. But like, not everybody has the sacral to throat to like poop it out in the 3D like you guys do.
It's just an ease.
It's so easy.
It's an ease
and
that...
it's delicious, and we're not
it's a subtle ease.
We love you guys for it. We don't want you to stop. Please use it. Use that power.
No, we're supposed to chill. We're supposed to cast nets and just like...
Exactly.
You know how crazy that can get sometimes? Yeah. Especially in a world created by generators and like manifesting generators. Created in a world where you're not supposed to sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
And then they tell us, no, you're supposed to wait for these things to come to you. And you're just like, what? Like, you gotta like cast stuff out. So like, you do have to do some stuff here. But then you're just like, you just have to wait, keep the resonance, and the resonant opportunity will come. Don't worry about it.
And then as projectors, but also with the gene keys that we have, which I know not everybody's totally familiar with their gene keys here. We're not going to dive too deep today, but we have been playing with like adding this to just how we take care of ourselves, our life, our relationships, our business, understanding more of the dynamics that are at play, spiritually, emotionally, and then also our nervous systems, right? Because we both have early childhood trauma. So there's a lot that like comes up that's annoying, you guys. It's just so annoying. And you're like, this again? Didn't I go through this already? Yes. Haven't I identified this thing already? Haven't we had conversations about this already? But this is what I mean by like comfort ceilings. It's like we have already, and there's more.
We have as friends that spent X amount of time together, that got to see each other, got to see these particular sides of our personalities really only, and not only because it takes seeing someone on a daily basis to really see who they are and what happened.
To show up in a relationship with you too. Like we tend to see the best versions of our partner or our best friend or whatever, right? They want to bring the best versions of themselves to the relationship.
Of course.
And so because of that, when we aren't living with each other, like when you aren't seeing the person in their day-to-day things that they have to do to maintain an energy that allows you to also feel safe. Not just them, but then also you.
Oh my God.
When you see the energy that this person is putting into it on a daily basis, it's not like there's never been a hierarchy, but we do pedestal people naturally, right? And it reminds you that, again, we're just humans.
We're human.
Really, at the end of the day. And sure, we're spiritual as fuck, and sure, we can see a lot, and sure, we have these big visions. And we have traumatized nervous systems and bodies that are healing and recovering and alchemizing constantly because of the work we do. So
literally. So when we call in these big things, I want to work with this person that I consider to be the person I love the most in the world. So then we start to get these shadows. So what we're really looking for, or what we don't understand is happening, is a mirror. We understand that everything is a mirror. We understand that we want to be seen. I know that throughout the course of my whole life, I can see a lot, and therefore I would love to be seen. Okay? I spent a lot of time just in the universe asking to be seen and just sort of being patient for whatever that meant. And Desiree was the first person who could see me as well as she could.
Mm.
And for me, it hasn't been until right now that she has been able to fully see me. So, what that means, the only way to fully see someone is to fully accept that you are them. You are just like them in the greatest attributes and in the non. A theme in relationships for both of us is being pedestaled.
Yeah.
Desiree is one of the first people who would really wants to see me. So she does not desire to pedestal me consciously. However, I remained in some spot just above the clouds for a while, and it wasn't really until she broke up with Tyler that we were able to, it's like I was really able to be like, okay, because it does take essentially it really takes, it is a healer mode, but it is this sort of stripping down and like reminding you of who you are, which is not necessarily, it's not reminding her that she's me in the sense of like me Camila. It's that we are each other, and whatever it is that you're holding up here that I can do and you can't, it's not true. But until we could get to that point, which ultimately what it takes is vulnerability, and what it takes sometimes is just seeing a person be human.
Yeah.
So I must do my best to express my humanity as much as possible and as clearly as possible. So it tends to sound over explanatory, but it's because by the time I come to people with things, I am calm, and people don't know what I went through to get there. And because I am calm and because they hold me at a certain regard, they assume sometimes that I don't go through, I don't go through jealousy, I don't go through resentment, I don't go through comparison, that I just somehow, I just like see it and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there. Bye. Now I'm here and I saw it. No, hell no. This shit is hard. This shit is hard. So I've been doing my best to just explain what I went through. Now, sometimes when you're...
But also she's been doing her best beyond that. She goes out, she's not going to give herself the credit, so I'm going to do it. She goes outside of her comfort zone, and she does the things she needs to in the moment. If she needs to go outside and stuff a towel in her mouth and scream, she goes and does it, and she lets me see her. And this is where, when we're talking about being seen, does your partner see you like this? The man that you lay next to every night, does he see you in that? Does he see you in the embodiment work that you're doing?
Or your wife.
Or your wife. Or your multiple partners.
Yeah.
Whatever. Wherever you're at in life. Can they see you like this? Because this is really being seen. And it's being able to allow her to do what she needs to do for herself so that she can talk to me or whoever or about a situation, whatever, and not taking it personally, not assuming that it's about me, not taking it on to try to save her. And that's hard too. Because
especially with each other.
Yeah, and like the relationship we have at this point, like the depth of healing that we have done together and the intimacy that we have. At this point, knowing that we are just mirrors of each other, it's hard not to take it on, right?
We react the same way.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what's going on.
Exactly, right?
Right.
We just, the processing is different. Yes. I process more externally. She processes more internally. But she's doing what I've been doing on the outside for the last like 2 to 3 years consistently and devotionally, which is showing me her embodiment work. She doesn't necessarily share it for the world, and so I haven't necessarily had to see her in it, right? But when I decided I was going to move in with her, and when we decided we were really going to like do life together, it meant like her letting me into that and letting me into seeing her emotional processes that go on.
Yeah, it's about learning to be alone with somebody else. How am I alone? And what we're learning,
well.
yes, what we're learning personally is like talking about not trying to step in to save each other. Our friendship has been what we like deduced the other day is that, our friendship has been mostly through, texting, and we text each other all day. And then when we lived in Washington, apart from the times where I lived with them, we saw each other minimum once a week, but once a week to maybe 3 times a week, let's say, just because of the weekends, which is a lot compared for like maybe for some people, but this is not seeing someone every day. So number one, that gives opportunity. You always have these gaps of time. And so number one, it gives opportunity to be in this high vibration every single time you see each other. It will always be exciting because it's been X amount of time since I've seen you, even if it's been 24 hours. But the key element is that when I'm not with you, who am I with? Me! I'm with me! Me! And I'm doing what I want. And if I want to cry, or if I'm being weird, or if I don't want to speak, or if I just want to like rock, do weird shit, I don't know. We do weird shit when we think we do weird shit. It's not weird, it's human. This is the point. Is that while you continue to think that you are weird and what you're doing is weird, only when people are around you, you will continue to suppress yourself forever. So the goal, it's not just around your partner. It's not just around your best friend. The goal of evolution is to know who you are and to be who you are at all times, regardless of who is there. While, of course, because my brain, we can for sure pay attention to certain parameters, and yes, we can give people personal space, and sure, maybe don't belt out your beautiful song, maybe in the middle of a clinic or whatever. Sure, setting, understand your setting, but within the boundaries that you have, the idea is to always be yourself, especially when you're at home. And this is why, obviously, all relationships tear the fuck apart. Any kind of relationship. When you convince yourself that you cannot be yourself for whatever reason in your own goddamn house, you got problems. You got problems. So with all the change, just in general, of course, from the move, our nervous systems have been out of whack. You know what I mean? They're just like, Jesus Christ.
Like, whoa.
We drove here.
It
took me like a month. And I was still like, I can't believe I moved here.
Every day, she's just saying out loud. She's like, I can't believe we're here, Desiree. I'm like, I know.
I can't believe my fucking high school. One of the high schools is. Look, listen. It's crazy.
And these are also shadows, right? Like this is a part of the evolution that we're going through. That's reflected in business, but also like our friendship and our life and our other relationships, because when we make these, especially as people who are devoted to our path of evolution, when we make these changes and we decide to come back to a place where there was a lot of deep emotional trauma and relationships were like completely destroyed. I'm so proud of her. I have so much pride. It's out loud. I have so much pride in her bravery to come back and transmute whatever is living in her that is still stuck here in this place, because she went through a lot when she was here. I'm not going to tell her story, it's just to tell. But she went through a lot, and I just am like, I've gone back to the place where my deepest traumas have happened, and I know the power. And so I just am so proud of her every day for just being here. For being here and doing it, because
it's rough.
It's a lot. And we get sent back in time, and our 16-year-old selves get triggered.
My Lord.
Shit, that's a lot, you guys.
It's honestly a lot. Obviously, these are the things that get mirrored in these types of partners, in any partnership. But goddamn, when you're trying to do everything together, right? For real, you're trying to do life together, and we want to do business. We want to do life and business together. So, what does this mean? Well, we have to keep certain boundaries. Now, I don't really like to call it boundaries because for us in particular, because the idea is that it's not a boundary. This is just a personal requirement. There are certain things that my nervous system requires. These things, since moving, have been right. And I'm like, God damn it, fine. You're right. It's not gonna hurt anybody's feelings. It's okay. Fuck me, you need to be alone. You know, it's when you hear yourself telling yourself, look at me.
Yeah.
So, this is where things go awry. So, it's not about boundaries. It's about personal nervous system requirements. And it's that we do the work to figure out what those are, come to terms with it, acknowledge them, accept them, and then do the work of like, hey, I have to sleep in my own room.
It's like a breakup. It's so bad.
Oh my
God. Because when we have nervous systems that have trauma,
yes.
When do you stop sleeping in the same bed as somebody? When they leave. When you break up, right? So when you sleep in the same bed as your best friend for a few months because you're living together and it's just the two of you and you're just two girls and you guys do everything together. So like, fuck.
I had a roommate, so we had 2 rooms, one roommate already, so like, she's got to sleep
together so much. Yeah. Anyways, it was not a big deal. But we know how to share sleep space and stuff. And how to meditate together and do our morning shit together. So it was not a big deal in that sense.
Yeah.
But what we weren't prepared for was moving and then like, oh, now actually we need our own space.
Yes.
Now the comfort ceiling, we hit it. This is as much as we can do together right now. And it doesn't mean, now this is the tricky part. Because separation is something we try to avoid as spiritual people, right? We're like, no, separation. It's just an illusion, so don't separate yourself. So then when we see separation, when we perceive that separation is happening in the 3D, we're like, oh no, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Or what's wrong with her? Something's wrong.
This is just the immediate nervous system response. Yes. This is what we're talking about.
And most of us have this response.
Yes.
Because most of us have early childhood trauma. Yes. Whether we know or not.
Healer people have to go through these processes. Yeah. This is also part of what I want to show and etc. And trying to be hyper honest about all of our experience, because number one, very rarely do healer people show that side. Yeah. We come up with a nice, this is how I got here. But to really kind of go through these processes, I want people to know that it doesn't stop. The idea is that the processing, if you can allow yourself to just sit and be with it and not hate yourself and not berate yourself for how you feel and just work with yourself, these things, the processing time gets much shorter and we regain equilibrium faster.
Yeah, and I think, when it comes to the ego integrations and resentment and the projection and stuff, again, this all comes back to knowing ourselves, right? And so, again, this is our expansion phase to come back to ourselves. We've spent so much time together, so much energy learning how to merge as one, because when we became SoulSync, we had to. That was the universal law, right? We decided to become one, so we had to learn how to merge and become one. And now we want to be one, but make sure we're honoring our paths as well. And so all of this is why we also know what we need to do for our nervous systems and take the time to do what we need to do for our own nervous systems before we come and start the conversation. Because yes, we're healing our sisterhood, but we're healing generational shit. We're healing also our familial relationships and our romantic relationships with each other.
Every day. We're healing ourselves every day. Every day I face myself every day.
Yeah.
This is where it gets, that's what it's not, you're not facing your partner. You're facing yourself every day. And if you can see it this way and sort of whatever work you've been doing on your own mental talk, that's what you're trying to come out of you so that we can now treat others in this same loving manner that we've been attempting to treat ourselves without people pleasing, without all of these, like, without coming at it from this lack and abandonment, of course.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so clearly this episode has gone on a little long. So we've made the executive decision to cut this in half. So this will be the end of part 1, and stay tuned for part 2. Bye guys.